Welcome to the Transform with Vance podcast, where transformations begin every day, and I am your host, Vance Hines. So let's get started. Alright, this is Vance Hines, and I'm here again with the one and only Tina Gaspard. Tina, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I can't complain. Where are you? Where do you live? Where are you participating from?
I am right outside New Orleans.
Oh, so you in Louisiana?
Mm-hmm. I am.
I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Louisiana girl.
Yes.
Did you grow up in Louisiana?
I did. My dad was in the Marines, so I was born in San Diego, but we moved back home when I was a baby, so I'm as close to born and raised as I can get, I guess, without actually being born here.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, how far are you from New Iberia?
New Iberia is probably about 2 hours away. Oh, dear. Excuse me. My dog is playing with her toy. Pipey.
That's all right.
No, ma'am. She does this. She does that to me every time I'm on like a Zoom call or whatever. She's just like, let me see how much noise I can make. At some point, she's going to come jump up here because she hears the voices and she thinks that she needs to be involved in a conversation. But she's a little schnauzer mix. That's her right there. Yeah, she's a sweet girl.
All right. What's her name?
Her name's Piper.
What's her name?
Piper.
Hey, Piper. Hey, Piper. So, hey, there's no rules here, so it does not matter. So, what I've asked the other people to do, starting out, is to kind of give just a quick synopsis of their story, and state why they are considered a DDPY success story, just to give them an idea.
I don't know.
And then I just. Yeah.
I mean, I'm having a hard time with those words right now, but yeah.
Well, I think we all do in our journeys.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm having a hard time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the journey. That's what they need to hear.
Yeah.
Is that it's not all bed of roses.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all sunshine every day.
Right.
They need to hear that we go through those peaks and valleys.
Sure.
Because that's definitely part of the journey.
Yeah.
Well, tell them a little bit about your journey and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I have been overweight since I was about 11 or 12 years old. And I over the years, I've tried pretty much every diet known to man. And over the course of my life, kind of developed, I guess, what would be called a binge eating disorder. It's not anything that I've had officially diagnosed, because I never went to the doctor. Going to the doctor as an overweight person is challenging and scary, and just I avoided it as much as possible. And but I got to a place about 3 years ago where I couldn't function in my life. I was close to 400 pounds and everything hurt and everything was hard, and just even the basic daily activities were stressful and challenging to the point of being almost impossible, and required maximum effort. And my life basically revolved around sleeping and eating and avoiding moving as much as possible. And it got to but I was still involved in church and stuff. But the kind of breaking point for me was one Sunday. I was trying to worship, and I couldn't stand for more than a few seconds at a time. I couldn't hold my hands up because every joint in my body was inflamed. My back was locking up or spasming on me, and I just kind of crumpled in the seat and just started crying. And we had an altar call, people who needed prayer for one reason or another. And they specifically said, if there's an impossible thing in your life, a mountain that you've been trying to climb and you just can't come. And I hesitated because I was so like deep dark, I didn't even believe that anything else was possible for me. And I finally did, and I walked away different that day. And the next week I made an appointment with a doctor to get a physical, because they always say, like, check with your doctor before you make any major changes to your diet or your exercise or whatever. And since I did have a lot of pain and things, I wanted to just kind of know what the state of Tina was, and if there was anything that I needed to get medication for or have a special diet for, or anything that I needed to take into consideration as I was making my plan to kind of amen that moment that I had at the altar. And so I went to the doctor. I had to see a new doctor, and because mine had moved out of state. And the doctor listened. I went from head to toe. I told her what my plan was. I told her why I was there. And she looked at me and she said, it will be impossible for you to lose the weight that you need to lose without weight loss surgery. And I was so deflated and felt so defeated, because it took every ounce of like hope that I could hold on to make that appointment and talk about these things that I had never talked about with a doctor before ever. And so I left. I walked away really, really like sad and dejected. And by the time I got to the car, I was kind of like, wait a minute, you don't know me. You don't get to say what's possible for me, like, no. And so I made another appointment with another doctor, a different doctor, and I, explained the situation, everything that I said to the other doctor, and I told him what the previous doctor had said. And she was like, if surgery isn't what you want for you, then you don't need to have surgery. Like, obviously, if you want to try to do it naturally, I will support you in any way that I can, essentially. And so set me up with all sorts of tests, and thankfully, I really didn't have any like major underlying conditions that that they were super concerned about. And so I was able to start doing whatever I wanted to do with it, that I could physically do. And that's kind of where I hit the second hurdle, I guess. The first hurdle was the doctor saying that I wouldn't be able to lose weight. And I started going to the gym and trying to just walk on a treadmill and ride the bike and, those sorts of things. And I couldn't do more than 10 minutes. I, not just cardiovascularly, I guess, but because of the level of inflammation in my body, every minute that I was on there, things just got angrier and angrier, and my joints started hurting more and more and more. And even 10 or 15 minutes, I was in pain for the rest of the day and having to take pain relievers the whole rest of the day. Some days I would just be in bed, and when I was able to. And I was just like so discouraged, because I need to do this to be healthy and to lose weight, and I can't. I'm doing the bare minimum basic here, and I can't even do that. And so some friends had suggested yoga to me, and I was like, I don't know if I'm a yoga person, and but I was kind of out of options. It was either yoga or nothing, because there wasn't anything. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't go for a walk down the street. And so I Googled yoga for bigger bodies, and I found your video. And I saw you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw you at your heaviest, like doing all the, the poses, the initial poses that you're supposed to take the pictures of and all that. And then the rest of your story. And I was just like, if that guy can do this, then maybe I can do it too. And around the same time, my parents had reached out. It was towards the end of the year, and they were like, well, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, I want this program. And they were like, okay. And so they got it for me for Christmas, and I started the very next day. And there has not been more than 2 days that I have in a row, I would say, that I have gone without doing DDPY or being active in some way since then. And that was December 2019. There's been lots of ups and downs and trials and struggles and all the things along the way. But the fact that I am more active now than I was when I was a teenager, I am more active at this point in my life, approaching 50, than I've ever been, outside of like when I played softball at 13 or something. I'm really grateful for that, that even though it has not been smooth sailing, it has been a struggle, over the past year, especially, that I'm still doing it. I'm still getting up every day and just really trying to be the best version of myself that I can be, and figure out like what really works for me, like the type of life that I want to live, and doing a lot of mental and emotional work as well. I started counseling in January, so there's been a lot of parts that have helped to kind of keep me in it, but it was a lifeline. DDPY was a lifeline to me. Your video was a lifeline to me. It gave me an option that I didn't at that point. I had nothing. I had traditional cardio. That was the only thing that was in front of me, and I couldn't even walk more than 5 or 10 minutes without being in pain for the rest of the day. So the fact that I could, that this program was available for me to start where I was, and to like Dallas always says, get stronger every day. Like I literally did. Within two weeks, I felt a tremendous difference in my body. My legs would swell so bad, my lower legs. I had some discoloration on the bottoms of my legs from the swelling, from the consistent swelling. Sitting for any length of time hurt. Standing for any length of time hurt. Like it was so painful, and I couldn't get up and down off the ground. Like that wasn't an option for me, And so having the chair and the standing with the chair programs, like those were lifesavers. Those were game changers for me. And it was 2 weeks, and the swelling in my legs was down significantly. The pain overall in my body was down significantly, and it took me maybe 2 or 3 months before I was able to get down on the mat with a chair, like using a chair to kind of help leverage me up and down, but I was able to do it, and it just progressed from there. And the gym didn't offer that to me, and then add to that like the whole community and all the people that I've met, and it's just been incredible. It really has. Even though I'm not where I want to be, like I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, because had I not found that, I can't imagine what my life would look like right now. I can't imagine like how much worse my day-to-day life would be, how much more pain I would be in, how much more I would be isolating myself and hiding away, from life and avoiding life. And I don't live that way anymore, and I'm really grateful for that.
One thing about your journey that I've always really been proud of and impressed with is that your courage to stick it out there publicly, the goods and the bad, and I can't tell you how many women cite you as the reason that they started taking their life back. I mean, you've touched so many women with your journey being out there. It's unbelievable.
I can't wrap my brain around that, I'm just trying not to quit every day, So So I'm really grateful. Anytime anybody reaches out
That's
to
what
me,
we all are.
yeah, anytime anybody reaches out to me and says, that something that I shared was encouraging to them, or that they signed up for the program or whatever, I'm always just so blown away and so grateful, that anything that I put out there, helped somebody else.
It's amazing. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that you or I would be a catalyst or a fitness, a person that would help others get fit?
Yeah, no. I mean, I can't speak for you, but for me, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely
no, I
not.
can tell you, absolutely no.
If you need a recipe, I'm your girl. If you want to know the best places to eat, I'm your girl. But how to get fit and healthy, that's somebody else's job. But yeah, it's
well,
it's awesome.
You're a superstar now.
Oh gosh. Oh, I don't know about that. But
all right, let me back you up.
Back me up.
Let me ask you some questions.
Okay.
All right. You had said that you self-diagnosed yourself as a binge eater.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe why you think you are a binge eater? Because I think I suffer from the same thing, but I want to know why you think you do.
Well, basically, I just lived in this constant state of thinking about food and eating it. And when I would eat it, I would have to eat to the point where I was physically uncomfortable. There was not stopping until I hit that point where I was physically uncomfortable. And so basically, if I wasn't eating food, I was thinking about food. And whenever I would eat it, I would eat to the point of discomfort and even making myself sick. I had no self-control. I had to have that full feeling for me to stop. I also ate a lot in secret. When I would go to places like to my parents' house or to a friend's house or some sort of social event, I would be good in front of everybody, and then I would stop at some place on the way home and get a ridiculous amount of food and eat to the point where I was sick, or at least uncomfortable. So I think the thing that categorizes it as binge eating for me is the not being able to stop until I have that uncomfortable full feeling. And again, I'm self-diagnosing this, but it was a I actually just realized this week. I started counseling in January, and I just kind of had this realization this week that I was depressed, so I was using food to numb, and I knew that part already. But what would happen was that, like, I'd go through the day, right, and even on days when I would eat well, I wouldn't go crazy or what have you, I'd have moments where I'd get in the car and I'd close the door, and it was the first moment of the day where I wasn't distracted by work or people or eating food. I'm in the car, I just got in the car, it's quiet, I don't have any food in front of me, I don't have anything to distract me, and I would shut the door and immediately just break down, and then immediately drive to the nearest place that I could find to get food, to shove it in my face, until I got to that uncomfortable full feeling, because that feeling was preferable to feeling whatever feelings I was feeling, So I was using food to feel something else instead of the feelings that I was avoiding and not dealing with. And and I never made that connection before, and I never said it out loud to another person before, you know. So yeah, I think those kind of things, the fact that I thought about food all the time, that I had to eat to the point of being uncomfortable, and that I was using it excessively and consistently to feel something other than the feelings that I was feeling. Those are kind of the reasons why I categorize it as binge eating. It's more than emotional eating, you know. It takes it a step further.
Yeah. Now, I mean, do you think there's a physiological component of it? Do you think that you have stronger cravings when you eat certain foods, or do you think it's just emotionally driven? Because like with me, if I eat carbs, I crave carbs.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of the mind that food is habit. Like, we learn how to eat and we learn how to use food, and so I don't know. Like, I learned how to eat from my parents, and my mom was feeding 5 kids, you know. So it was a lot of carbs, and I'm Cajun, so it's like rice and gravy, everything. So when I want something to comfort myself, that's the food that I'm going to go for. And then when you tack on the emotional aspect of it too, and I'm trying to not feel things, I'm just going to keep having it. That's where I go with it. I don't really know the science of it, you know, and if there's like certain things that like trigger whatever inside of me. I do know that there are foods that are more comforting to me, and those are the ones that I tend to reach for when I'm feeling foods? Some kind of way. It's usually going to be some sort of crunchy, salty thing. I will have sweets every once in a while, but I'm more of a crunchy, salty sort of thing. So whether that's, you know, nachos and cheese or French fries or fried chicken, it's going to be something salty, crunchy for me.
Lay's potato chips.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
I'd kill a bag of Lay's.
Oh, sure. Chips. Any sort of chips. Like, I cannot be trusted. I cannot be trusted with chips. I just can't, you know. I've tried to like portion it out and like be, you know, responsible. If I go somewhere and the chips are available, but if they're in my home and they're just constantly calling my name, you know, so it's just better for me to not keep those in the house. So I try not to.
Well, I'm the same way. If it's in the cabinet and I know it's there and I've eaten a little bit of it, you know, I'm obsessing over it all the time, and then I rationalize a way to get back in there and eat it. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
The mental side of this is.
So tell me, how did you find your therapist? Because I'm trying to find a therapist that I want to know if I've got a binge eating disorder, and so I'm trying to find it. Right now, I've got an appointment next week with a therapist that's my insurance referred me to, and I did not get a warm fuzzy feeling right off the bat. She kept speaking over me when
that's not
telephone
good.
Conversation. So so I don't know if I'm going to stick with her or not, but I'm going to give her a shot. But I'm interested in trying to figure out how to find.
Yeah, the therapist that I'm seeing, she doesn't necessarily specifically deal with binge eating disorder at all. She does specialize in trauma and recovering from trauma and being 250 pounds overweight and you know, like all the things that go along with that for most of my adult life, like that's traumatic. So we have kind of focused on like what's underneath all of the stuff, you know, because really the binge eating is kind of just a symptom. Like, I was using that as a way to not deal with the things that I was feeling. So we're kind of dealing with the foundation of those things. But what I did was I I went to, I think it's psychology.com, and I searched for counselors in my area, and you can click kind of the areas that you would like them to specialize in, and then I read their bios, and I had actually had like a list of 3 or 4, and I decided that I would meet with one for 3 sessions and see how it went, and if things went well, I would continue, and if not, I would visit the next one on the list. Thankfully, luckily, I really liked the first one that I saw, and I've been seeing her since January, so it's been going, or December actually, so it's been going well. But
I think I'm going to take your. Yeah, I think I'm going to take your strategy. I'm going to give this lady 3 sessions, and then if we don't click, then I may move on.
Yeah, our first session wasn't super great. It was just kind of like getting to know each other sort of thing, and it's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit uncomfortable for both of us, I would imagine. So I decided I would give her the 3 sessions and see how it went, and it did get better. So. I hope that yours does too. But I mean, obviously, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like you're being heard and understood, then you should find someone who you do feel that way with.
Well, that was my first impression. So I, when we were filling out the forms and stating what I thought I was there for, and scheduling an appointment, she kept talking over me and things. So I don't know. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine.
Sure.
And maybe she can work with that pet peeve.
No, I mean, I think sometimes too, for those initial sessions, they have a script in their head, and they're trying to like get as much done in that one session as they can. So I think the first session is always just kind of weird. Because there's so much, like all the disclaimers and the forms you have to fill out, and the histories and all the things. Yeah. So yeah, maybe give her another shot. See if she is better in an actual counseling
I'll give
environment.
her 3 sessions.
Okay.
All right. Well, now tell me. I want to know a little bit about you. Tell us. Where you grew up, married, kids, just kind of a background of you, so we know who Tina Gaspard is. I know she's from Louisiana, and she loves Cajun cooking.
Yes, it's terrible. So like I said, my dad was in the military, so I was actually born in California, but we moved back home when I was a baby, so I've lived here all my whole life that I can remember. And my whole family is here. All of my grandparents were here, all of my aunts and uncles, my cousins. We were all very close. In fact, my parents kind of grew up around the corner from each other, so we all kind of stayed in the central area. So we saw each other all the time, and I have 4 younger brothers, and lots of nieces and nephews. I have never been married, and I don't have any kids. I just have my dog. I am a marketing coordinator for an engineering firm. I am a Christian. I'm very involved in church, and I'm one of the worship leaders there. And I love to be creative, so I write, and I've started doing watercolor painting over the last few years. I have a little bit of a plant obsession. I have over 100 plants in my house. I really enjoy social media. I have a whole lot of fun with that. And that's kind of me in a nutshell right there.
Do you handle the social media for the engineering firm that you work for?
I do, yeah.
Well, that explains a lot, because your social media posts are always awesome. So that explains a lot there.
Thanks.
So you know what you're doing.
I'm self-taught.
How long have you been?
I'm self-taught in most things, so I just do it what seems good, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, I'll try something else. So.
What kind of writing do you do?
I mostly just do, I do a lot of just sort of like, I don't know, introspective, insightful stuff. Just, for me, the type of stuff that, I post, I share about my journey to, just process through something or encourage somebody else. I've also done some sort of Christian writing, just kind of like taking, a passage of scripture and kind of expounding on that. I tried my hand at fiction, but I'm not very good at it. Making stuff up, and developing characters and all that kind of stuff. I just prefer to write about real stuff. So yeah, I was a government major, political science major in college, and I minored in English just because I took so many classes, and I basically spent my entire college career writing. I just really enjoy, taking the stuff that's up here and putting it on paper.
Do you journal?
Occasionally.
Do you do a gratitude?
I have several. In fact, I was just kind of updating one. I do this thing called bullet journaling where I kind of decorate pages and set things up for the month. And then I also have this little one that's like a prayer gratitude journal that I'm not so great at updating, but it's on my list of things that I want to get back into the habit of I really do think gratitude is so important, and I try to kind of live in that place. But I really want to take it the step further and document it more, so that in the moments when I really need help being grateful, I can go back and kind of more easily remind myself. Because sometimes when you get in that headspace, it's really hard to think or remember anything good ever happening to you in your entire life, and so having it kind of written down in a place to go back to remember, that's kind of why I started that, is important too, I think.
What denomination are you at your church?
I'm non-denominational. We're just kind of we try to just do what the Bible says and love people, So yeah, but I was raised Catholic, and then I was an atheist for about 10 years, a little less than 10 years. But I've been members of different types of congregations since then, and the one that I'm at right now is non-denominational.
What made you go from Catholic to atheism to
Catholicism? I don't mean to.
Tina, if I ask something that
no, it's fine.
Yeah, if I ask something that's too personal,
no.
or you can tell me to go screw myself wherever you want, but I'm always curious about these things.
Yeah.
And so you can tell me not to include it in the podcast, and I'll take out anything you want. This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So if I asked you something you don't want to answer, just tell me.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to be in the podcast besides unless you tell me it's okay to put it in.
Yeah.
There, so.
No, I'm an open book. I don't care.
But, what made you go from from the Catholicism to atheism to back to Christianity?
So, I was raised Catholic, and I think New Orleans Catholic is a little bit different than Catholic anywhere else. We're very culturally Catholic, and it's not so much really about a relationship with God at all. I didn't have a Bible in my hands until I was 13 years old, and I had never read the Bible for myself until I was 13 years old. And when I started reading it, and when you're Catholic, you have to, and you're growing up, you go to catechism classes. So it's like one night a week you'll go to some person's house and they'll go through a lesson and teach you Catholicism, and which is a lot of tradition and religion, but not it. We never had a Bible. We never used it ever. So I'm reading my Bible and I'm going to catechism class and I'm taking the opportunity to ask questions, like, well, we do this, but I read this, like, how do they go together, And after a few weeks, my catechism teacher literally walked over to me and conked me on the head and told me to stop asking questions. And I was just like,
Don't quit.
Okay, but the whole through the whole process, and why I kept asking the questions is because it felt very much to me like magnets, when you're trying to put magnets together on the wrong sides, when you've got the same sides facing each other and you just can't get them to touch. That's how it felt. And so I kept asking questions to try to get clarity to make them touch, and it just wasn't happening. And so at 13, I was just like, well, if this is supposed to be based on this book that I'm reading, but I can't get any answers as to how they seem to contradict, but how they don't, then clearly this is all made up, and I don't want any part of it. And so yeah, at 13, I decided that. And I was a very precocious child. And so fast forward to college, and by that time, I had become a very, very vocal atheist. And I took any opportunity to get up on my soapbox and explain to everybody why God didn't create man, man created God, and how we don't need religion, and da-da-da-da-da. And this girl pulled me aside after one of my rants. This girl pulled me aside after one of my rants, and she took me to lunch and spent like 4 hours talking with me, and I spent 4 hours arguing with her. And then that summer we wound up working in the same dorm, and our shifts coincided, and so we would see each other every single day, and we got to talking again, and I would argue, and we would just spend the whole night like arguing. And or I would spend the whole night arguing. And so one night they just told me to go up to my room and just read. Just not read to like poke a hole in something that they said or whatever, but to just read. And so I did, and I read a whole chapter, and I got to the end of it, and I just rolled over in my bed, and I looked up at the ceiling, and I was just like, okay, do what you got to do. And I was different from that day. Growing up Catholic, like I knew about Jesus, and I knew about the cross, and I knew about sin, and I knew all the facts, right? But it had never been personal to me. It had never impacted my life. And that night it did. And I was different from that point on. And it took me a while to find the right expression of that, so I was at a few different denominations for a really long time. I mean, I didn't like church hop every few weeks or whatever. Like I was at a Southern Baptist church for almost 10 years. I was at an Assembly of God church for almost 10 years, well, it was an Assembly of God church that then morphed into a different type of church. But anyway, I was there for almost 10 years, and now I've been at this church for 6. And so and I've finally starting to feel like I am worshiping and practicing my faith and ministering the way that I was meant to be, doing those things. So, and my faith and my relationship with Jesus has been like the biggest, most important factor in this whole journey. Like if it wasn't for that day at church, and like really like taking God at his word and saying, okay, you say you are the God of the impossible. You say you can make a way out of no way. I'm going to take you at your word. You say you want me to live and live abundantly. I'm going to take you at your word, and I'm going to start out amening those things in the choices that I make in my life. If it wasn't for that moment and that day and the faith that I had, or like I said, I don't even want to think about, what my life would look like right now. So it is the biggest, most important part of my life, and I try every day to express that, and to remember that, because sometimes we get so stuck in our own like feelings or whatever. That I know that my words and my actions don't always line up, or don't always reflect the faith that I profess, but my heart is to always do that. So yeah, that's kind of my story.
Do you remember what chapter it was.
Yeah,
that you
I
read that
do.
night before
I
you rolled
do.
over?
It's weird. It was the Book of Ruth. I read the entire book. It's only 4 chapters, but I read the whole book. And by the end, and that book, like, it's Old Testament. It doesn't it doesn't say the word God in it at all. It's not messianic, really. I mean, well, a little bit, I guess. There's some symbolism there, but on the surface, it's not. It's not like Isaiah, where it's full of all this, prophecy about Jesus or anything. It is the least religious book in the whole Bible, and yeah, like I said, I'm grateful for the foundation that I had. Growing up Catholic, like I said, I knew about Jesus, I knew about grace, I knew all those things, right? But it had never been mine. Like, it had never been applied to me directly, personally. And however that happened through reading Ruth, I don't know. Like, there wasn't any specific word or phrase that popped out at me or whatever. I just got to the end of it, and I was just undone. And I had no more arguments. I met Jesus that night. Like, I had an encounter with God that night. Like, that's the only thing that made the difference. It wasn't so much the words that I was reading. It was that I opened myself up to have a real encounter with the living Word of God, and He changed me through that night, and so I just had to amen it, and I did, and I'm really, really grateful for it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What college was this?
I was at Nicholls State in Thibodaux, Louisiana. It's like Cajun.
Thibodaux, Louisiana.
Yep, it's a tiny little Cajun town. Really, it was just the college and like a grocery store. When I went there, they had a really good Chinese restaurant. I do remember that. They got a Taco Bell towards the end of my college years there. But yeah, it was a little blink and you'll miss it kind of town. But I loved it. Like, I think I really kind of became my own person for the first time when I was in college, and so much of who I am now was kind of formed there. So I loved every minute.
It's funny how no matter how old I get, all my memories are still really like high school and college. It's for some reason those years made an impression on me, and the years in between are kind of a blur.
Yeah, there definitely some. Well, high school was terrible, but college was some of the best years of my life, truly. And like I said, so much of I became who I am. I figured out who I was when I was in college, and developed, a level of, some degree of confidence in certain aspects of my personality that I'd never had before, and stepped out in ways that I never thought I would ever step out, and so it was really, really good.
So tell me, what's that trophy back there behind you?
Oh, well, see, that's this thing that I won called Vance's Challenge. Just a little something, just a little, a little small thing that somebody does. Yeah, and I have all of my,
just started.
Yeah, I saw that. You're just starting again. That's exciting. You
lost 50 pounds.
I did. Yep. I did. I got out of the 300s in that challenge. So that was a big special moment.
You were the first woman to lose 50 pounds in the initial inaugural once a year Vance's Challenge.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody that's listening, we're doing it right now. Go to Vance's Challenge Facebook group and just join and post your starting weight. And the first one woman to lose 50 pounds, first man to lose 100 pounds wins a trophy. So I had to give my challenge a plug.
Of course.
Tina,
of course.
I apologize.
No, it's fine. I put that there because I figured you'd want to plug it, so it's all good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so now let's get back to this doctor. You said that 3 years ago. I mean, well, it seems like to me that many of the catalysts in your life have been evolved around the religion, religious events,
Mm-hmm.
But
For
anyway,
sure.
3 years ago, you went to a doctor, a female doctor, that you said you hadn't gone to before,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to say those words again that she told you, that doctor.
Yeah, she said that it would be impossible for me to lose weight without having weight loss surgery.
And how much weight have you lost without having weight loss surgery?
Well, my lowest weight, I was 135 down. Over 2021, I've gained a bit of that back, but I'm going down again. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, 2021 was rough. But the really cool thing about 2021 for me was that a lot happened. A lot happened in 2021. I started the year with COVID. I had like a series of disappointments and a little bit of heartbreak mixed in there, and some stressful family situations and things like that. But I also started menopause. But I didn't know it. So I went through like 3 or 4 months where I wasn't sleeping. My emotions were all over the place. I wanted to quit everything. I was crying all the time. I couldn't lose weight to save my life. Like, I was working out like 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day, with my Sham fam, with Travis and those guys over at Shamrock Fitness, and I was eating well. Like, I was walking, twice a day. I had even started running. I was doing 5Ks on Saturdays, and it was just like I was so active, and I felt like so good about everything that I was doing, all my habits, but the weight just wasn't coming off. And like I said, my emotions were all over the place, and I wasn't sleeping, and it was just terrible. And so I finally went to the doctor around my birthday and got the news that hey, guess what? But at least there was an explanation for what was happening to me. So yeah. But I'm grateful that as tough as 2021 was, and even though it resulted in me, kind of gaining a little bit of the weight back, that I stayed as consistent as I could under the circumstances. Like I said, there really hasn't been like more than 2 days in a row that I went without being active in some way, and so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, my lowest, my highest weight lost was 135 pounds.
How long did it take you to lose 135?
Oh gosh. Well, I lost like 115 in the first year, and then it took me, oh gosh, like 9 months, I guess, to lose another 20. Yeah, it was insane. It was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. I never fought so hard for 20 pounds in my life.
So tell me what you did to lose the 115 pounds in 1 year.
Well, initially I started with the app, and I started doing the first workout that I did was the I believe the chair diamond dozen. And then I did one of the chair workouts, and I realized that I probably could do a little bit more. So I moved up to the Stand Strong program, and I did that for a few weeks, And eventually I started trying to do some of the more beginner workouts, but also using the modifications that I had learned from doing a couple of the chair workouts and doing some of the standing workouts as well. And so I was doing three workouts a week to start, but then I quickly, just because I was feeling so excited because I could do more than I actually thought I could do. So I started kind of adding in more stuff, but really my max time was about 20 minutes for each workout. Like in the beginning, that was as much stamina as I could muster. And I had initially started trying to do the recommended meal plan that DDPY includes in the user guide. But I realized that just wasn't going to work for me. I really wanted something that was going to be more sustainable for me over my life, and I felt like for me that level of restriction, cutting out food groups and such, just wasn't going to work for me. So I really just focused on portion control, because that's one of the areas where, you know, it being a person who is Cajun to begin with, you know, we don't know portion sizes about anything. You just eat till you're done. And growing up in a house with 5 kids, you know, you finish your plate, you know, so, and I never served my plate until I was, you know, older. So learning like what portion sizes were, you know, that I felt like that was really important for me. And so I focused on portions, and I just tracked what I was eating to see kind of where things shook out. And the first 2 months were crazy. I mean, I lost 45 pounds in 2 months. Like, it was just insane. The weight was falling off of me like crazy. But then it kind of leveled out, you know, to a more reasonable amount. But yeah, I really didn't. The only foods that I had any sort of rules about were chips. I didn't keep chips in the house because I couldn't be trusted with chips. And then I also tried to eat more whole grain stuff as opposed to, you know, just like white rice or white bread or things like that. One, because most of the time there's a little less calories involved, and also because of the inflammation that I was having, I found that when I was eating, you know, a lot of refined white carbs, I would have a lot of joint pain. So just to keep my pain to a minimum, I switched to the whole grain stuff. But otherwise, like, if I went to my mom's on Sunday and she made red beans and rice, or she made rice and gravy of some kind, you know, I would have a serving of that. And so I didn't really like eliminate any food groups, or like say like these are the good foods and these are the no foods, you know, sort of thing. I really wanted to just be able to have, for once in my life, have a balanced relationship with food and be able to go into any situation that I found myself in and be able to make it work, you know, and be able to go to friends' houses and not make them feel like they had to make something special for me or whatever, you know, like I could just live, you know, and handle food in a more balanced and normal way, and not be so stressed out about it, you know, because before, when I was trying to do more restrictive diets, I thought about food just as much as I did when I was binge eating. And I would have to like analyze the menu any place we went and figure out what I was going to eat before. And I was just constantly in this state of like feeling stressed out about food or feeling deprived by food. And I didn't want to do that again, because it just wasn't sustainable for me. Like, and I've tried everything. I've tried Weight Watchers. I've tried Richard Simmons Deal-A-Meal. You know, like I've done like the low carb Atkins stuff, and you know, like every diet that was ever in Women's Day magazine. You know, and I just didn't want to spend the rest of my life thinking about and stressing out about or feeling deprived of food all the time. So that was kind of the route that I took, and it worked until my menopause started, and then my life fell apart. But yeah, I've kind of gotten back to been trying to be more consistent in that way, and just focusing on portion sizes and being consistently active, and it's starting to click again. So I'm grateful for that.
How do you measure your portions? I mean, if I pick my portions, they're still going to be big.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I just go up to the pot and just like whatever, yeah. I mean, some of it I can eyeball now, but what I like to do when I batch cook, so I will divide it up into portions in Ziploc bags or containers or what have you. And things like vegetables and salad and what have you, like I don't measure, I don't weigh or measure pretty much anything. It's just if I'm making a recipe, right, and I know, like, okay, so it says that the recipe is like 6 servings, and I double it. Okay, well then I know I have 12 servings, so I get 12 containers and I divvy it up that way. I don't weigh or measure anything. I'm not that anal about it. The only things that I really like count or measure out are things like potato chips. If I'm going to eat potato chips, I'm going to count those. Otherwise, if I make rice, I do the same thing. Like, okay, I'm making this many cups of rice, and I know that this, like I'm going to allow myself a cup of rice. Well, then I'm going to divide it up and however many containers I need, and then that way I just have to pull it. And if I make like something, I love sausage, and so if I make like a big batch of sausage or whatever, I will, before I cook it, I will cut it into, like, if the package says there's 7 servings, I will cut it into 7 pieces and then cook it that way it's just automatically the size that it needs to be. So I try to take the stress and the thinking, and the anxiety out of the process, and that way I can just pull it, heat it up or whatever, and I'm good to go. I feel like the less I think about food, the better. The more I'll be able to think about actually living my life, and doing things that I enjoy and that are more important than food. Food dominated my life, and it's been a process, and I'm still working, on that. To especially like in moments when I feel vulnerable or emotional in some sort of way, I still have the instinct to, get food of some kind and put it in myself. But I am trying more and more to make other choices. Like I had counseling Friday, and that tends to make me a little bit more emotional. Like as I'm still like after the session, I'm like processing through things and whatever, and I got snacky. I got really snacky, and I started, thinking I'm gonna get in the car and I'm gonna go get this, or I'm gonna order that, or I'm gonna make this or whatever. And finally, I just I keep these little things in the freezer. It's Caitlin K's recipe. It's called Goo Balls. It's just like peanut butter and oats and honey and chocolate chips and coconut, and so I portion them out, and I freeze them. And so I had a Goo Ball and I went for a run. And I did that instead. But it took me 3 hours to get there. It took me 3 hours of deciding, thinking I was going to order food or go get food, and then talking myself out of it. And then, back and forth for 3 hours. But I finally persevered, So it's still something that I'm working on, but it's definitely something that I feel is important enough to work on. Like I said, I would rather... I feel like I have not lived yet. I haven't really lived my life yet, because I've just spent my whole life thinking about food, or thinking about not having food, or thinking about what my body looks like, or what my weight is, or what other people think about it. And I just want to live, I just want to live my life. And so the choices that I'm making, I know I have to be intentional in order to have the type of life that I want to have, and enjoy it to the degree that I want, I know I have to be intentional about what I put in my mouth and how I move my body, you know. But I want to do it in a way that is that requires the least amount of thinking or stress, and that I can actually enjoy at the same time, you know. So it's kind of where I'm at with all of that. I started there, and then I kind of got lost in the what wasn't, you know, happening. The weight wasn't coming off, and the things that I needed to do to try to force it to come off, and whatever. And got lost there for a while, but I'm trying to get back there.
You know, I saw a YouTube video explaining weight loss like a surfer waves, and you know, when you're riding on that high, when you're inspired, you're on top of the wave, and you want to ride that high as long as you can. But at some point, you're going to lose the wave, and you're going to drop back down in the rut, and you're just going to have to wait until another wave comes along and picks you up and gets you back up there.
Yeah.
You got to do whatever you got to do to get out of that rut and up on the next wave.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a good analogy.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not, weight loss is not like this. It's just not, you know, our bodies don't work that way.
No.
And but I guess for me, where I'm at is I'm focusing more on the internal stuff that makes me want to make those choices, and less on trying to. I'm trying to not make food the solution, I guess, is really, I know food is going to be a part of it. Like I said, I have to be intentional about what I put in my body and how I move my body, right? But I don't want food to be the solution, you know? I want to fix what's broken for once, you know? And, yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Well, you know, food is such a big part of our life, you know. It's how we celebrate.
Yes.
It's how we mourn. It's how we worship. It's how we you know, soothe our sorrows. It's food is something that we do. I mean, it's not just nutrients in, calories in, the energy out, you know. It's there's so much emotional and psychological aspects to it, and plus, I mean, it's just a part of our family. I mean, if we change the way we eat, we change the way we act around our family and family events, and you know, it's just huge, the impact that food has on our lives.
Absolutely, especially here in New Orleans. I mean, food is everything here. It's as much a part of like the fabric of the city and the culture as anything else. I had some friends come in from Canada, and my entire plan for their trip was, you have to try this and you have to eat this, and we have to go to this place, and you know, it was like all food. It was all food that they don't have in Canada, you know. So you know, it is like you said, it's everything. It's family, it's culture, it's tradition, it's the way that we celebrate. It's the you know, we have taste buds, and food tastes good for a reason, you know. And I really don't want to never be able to have my mom's red beans and rice again, you know, like that's not going to be living for me, you know. So yeah, I just need to get to a place where it doesn't have the, I don't know, it's not the most important thing, I guess. It doesn't have the control over me that it does. And the only way that I can get there is to do what I did last night, like to resist, you know, and to ask myself the questions like, why do I want this? You know, am I hungry? Like, Is it going to be good for me? Is it going to make me feel good? Because I've been asking myself a lot of those questions too, like whether it's about food or doing a workout or not doing a workout or whatever choices that I'm making in my life. Like, is it going to make me feel good? Is it going to make me feel strong? Is it going to make me feel proud? Like, am I going to have consequences, for this tomorrow? Am I not going to be able to sleep well tonight if I make this choice? So am I going to feel super stiff when I wake up in the morning if I skip this workout, And so doing things that, doing them not to make the numbers go down on the scale, but doing them because they make me feel good, because I know, like, I'm going to feel amazing once I finish this. I'm going to feel better tomorrow because I did that workout yesterday, I'm going to be able to sleep better tonight because I didn't eat that thing and I won't be in pain all night. So just kind of making those sorts of, asking myself those questions and making choices based on that. Not so much the numbers of it all.
I mean, I think it worked. It sounds like Mary made some balls similar to, I guess, Caitlin K's goo balls, but it was a recipe that Stephanie Kelly gave us, and she made, 25 of those balls, and I ate them all in 2 days. I'm just impressed you could only eat one of those damn balls. I could eat a bunch in a sitting for sure. They're so good. Travis Mahaffey, he makes them, he just leaves it in the bowl. Like, he doesn't make them into balls, and he just goes and takes spoonfuls, like, that's how he eats them. But I do that so that I can have a little bit more control over the situation. So I put them in, serving sizes, and I freeze them so that, like, I have to take them out and I have to let them thaw for a few minutes before I can actually eat them. And, like, it's not just like this immediate thing that I can constantly just shove in my face. So, and again, like I said in the beginning, like, food, so much about food and how we eat is habit. And so if I develop that habit with that specific food, then I'm not constantly reaching for them. And like the one that I had last night, it had been in my freezer for weeks. And so yeah, I just it amazes me.
I just try to, there are some things that would not last weeks. I can promise you that, but as soon as I made those things, like I said, I decided I was going to freeze them. I was going to portion them out. And another thing that I was kind of like, I probably should only have them on days that I run, because it'll help me for the run. It'll be good for me, as like a pre-workout kind of situation. And it would actually benefit me. Plus they taste really good, so it could be like a little treat, and then go and let it fuel my run and help me to run better. So as soon as I started making them, like I had those kind of, that parameter in my head, and I just developed that habit with that particular food from the get-go. So that really helped, but there are other things for sure that I would make and wouldn't last.
It sounds like that you go by the portion on the serving size on the container or the recipe.
I use that as a starting place. I use that as a starting place. Sometimes I will like portion out that amount, and I'll be like, that is not enough food. And I'll make it, do like a serving and a half or 2 servings, depending on what it is. But I use that as a starting place to kind of give me an idea of what I'm looking at here. So for things like if I make, for example, like a soup or a chili or something, 1 cup of soup is not going to make a meal for me, so I'll usually double something like that. But something like hamburger meat or whatever, I'll probably do maybe like a serving and a quarter or a serving and a half, because 4 ounces of hamburger again is not going to be a meal for me. So So yeah, I use what's kind of on the package as a starting place, and I see what that looks like, and if I feel like that's enough, then I will portion it out that way. And if I need to do a little bit of different math to make it work, then that's what I do.
You know, a dietitian told me you can order these portion control bowls and plates and containers and spoons and all this stuff from Amazon. I never have done it, but I thought about doing that just to take my calculating out of the picture.
Yeah. I think that was like some specific like diet program or something had devised those containers. I've never used them. I just buy, Ziploc bags or freezer containers, and just divide it. Like I'll lay them all out on the counter and just scoop, and then scoop, until I get them all filled, and then I know. So I don't have to weigh anything or get out measuring cups or anything like that.
All right, so let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
And I want you to explain to them a little more. Treat this call like this podcast like you're talking to someone that has no knowledge of DDP yoga.
Okay.
So I want you to explain to them why you were able to do DDP yoga when no other exercises were sustainable in the condition that you were at that time. Obviously now you're running 5Ks, but
not right now. I was. I'm working back up to it though. So I think DDPY is different in that I think one of the things that makes it so special is that it's really because they combine yoga with the dynamic resistance, right? You're getting the muscle engagement that you would get in like cardio, which helps to get your heart rate up, but you can do it standing in one position, or sitting in a chair, or kneeling on a mat, and you're not putting all the wear and tear on your body. You're not stressing your body more than you need to, and still achieving the results of getting that aerobic and anaerobic activity, which helps you to burn fat and to strengthen your body, to build muscle, and also the breathing and some of the warm-up moves and things that he does is also conditioning moves, so that helps your cardiovascular system as well and builds that stamina and that endurance, so that when you go to try to do anything else, all of those systems have strengthened, and you've done it all without having to lug anything heavy or run for 3 miles a day, or any of those things that are like extremely like intense and require a lot of exertion and a lot of stress and strain on your body. And I think that for people like me, who was very overweight and was in a lot of pain already, and couldn't physically do any of those things, it met me there and said, here's something you can do, and the modifications really helped me to be able to stay in the workout longer than I would have been able to stay in anything else, because I had somewhere to go. If I couldn't do it exactly the way, that Dallas was doing it, well, I could do it the way that, Christina was doing it, or that somebody else who was doing the mods, was doing it. And that really helped me to not quit, because I couldn't get my leg up in the air that high, or I couldn't get down on the mat yet, or whatever. Like there was some other person, on the video that was doing something that I could do. And I think probably the modifications, even more than just being able to exercise, and still feel like I exercised and still get the endorphins and all of that without hurting myself, but also having those modifications so that when I got up against a move that I physically couldn't do, instead of feeling super discouraged and having to quit or sit that one out and then talk myself back into starting again, I could just keep going because there was a place for me to go. I think those two things were really are things that make DDPY really, really special, and really were game changers for me, being able to be consistent, and to want to do more, and to realize that I could do more than I thought that I could, which was amazing. I went into this thinking I can't do yoga. You see all these people doing all these weird contortions and stuff, when you think about yoga, and then there's this, and I just think there's nothing that makes me feel like, as much as I love running, there's nothing that makes me feel like DDPY does. It just, I don't know. It's really special.
I tell people I think it's the closest thing to the fountain of youth that we're going to see in our lifetime.
Yeah, I have comments from people all the time. They're like, "You're aging in reverse," and I'm like, "Well, I don't really agree with that. I don't feel like that, but I definitely am, more active." Than I was 20 years ago, so, for whatever that's worth, I cannot believe, that I was able to start running again, and that when I did, so I started running in December of last year, and I did Couch to 5K, and I had done Couch to 5K several years before, and it was so hard. It was so hard. Even just the first couple of weeks, like just running like 60 seconds or 90 seconds at a time was so hard. And I remember when I went out for the first time after having done DDPY for almost a year at that point, and I went out for the first run, and it was like I got through the first interval, and it was like I hadn't run in years, but it felt like I had been running. Like it was just. And then like only a couple of weeks in, I somehow accidentally skipped like 3 weeks of the app, and I went from running like 2 minutes to running 8 minutes. And I'm just going. I'm just in my head. I'm listening to my music, and I'm just going and going and going. And then I realized, wait, this feels longer than 2 minutes, And I looked at the thing, and I was at like 6 minutes, and I was like, what happened? But I just kept going until the app told me to stop, and I was like, well, that was something, So yeah, it's special. It's different. I love that it kind of flies in the face of traditional fitness as well. Like traditional fitness is like no pain, no gain, and DDPY is the opposite of that. And I know that there are some people that kind of come into the DDPY world and they want to bring in like more traditional fitness stuff and try to mesh it in with DDPY, and they up the level of intensity because they don't feel like they've worked out if they haven't beat themselves up. And I hate that. I absolutely hate that. I feel like the beauty of DDPY is that you can have an effective workout without hurting yourself, without beating yourself up, without feeling spent at the end of it. You feel invigorated at the end of it and ready to go and do, anything else, And I don't like it when people mess with that, because I think that's what makes DDPY special. And so yeah. I mean, who wants to, like, I don't know. I just the whole idea of just feeling just completely wiped after a workout, like, no. I want to go do things after my workout, Like I have things I need to do. I don't want to go take a nap, So yeah, it's the best.
And most of those fitness trainers and fitness gyms and things, those people have never been the weight
No.
that I've been or we
No.
are,
No.
and never have suffered the issues involved with being that weight for a period of time, and and they got no idea how hard it is what they're trying to what they're telling us to do, and it's just it's just so easy to get hurt trying to listen to somebody that's not really realistic to where you are in your fitness journey.
Yeah.
And that I agree with you. That's the beauty of the magic of DDP is that it meets you wherever you are in your fitness journey. I mean, there's bed exercises, there's chair exercises, there's chair to standing, standing to mat, and all in between. And it's just an unbelievable program to be. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. I agree.
So what's next for Tina Gaspard? Where do you go from here?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I mean, what I'm trying to do is, like I said, I just want to live, like I just want whatever I do in a day, I want it to be something that makes me feel good and makes me feel strong, or something that I enjoy. I think what I would like to see for me over the next few months, at least, is for me to be able to get stronger. Because I had a lot of setbacks in 2021, and over the last several months it's been very difficult, and I wasn't able to work out as consistently as I had been, and I lost a lot of strength and stamina, and so I've actually had to go back to the beginner level workouts because I've been working out with Travis Mahaffey and Shamrock Fitness since, gosh, late 2020, I guess, and those are like hour-long workouts pretty much every day, but I'm not there, and so I decided to go back to the beginner level workouts, and so I would really like to build back up to being able to do workouts with my friends again. So that's number one. I want to be able to run a 5K again here in the next few months, and I would really love to of course see that downward trend in my weight go back down again, because I just I, even though it's only been maybe 30 pounds, I guess, that I've gained over the last few months, I feel it. I feel it in everything, not just my clothes. Like I feel it in how I get up and down from a seated position, getting in and out of bed, I feel it everywhere. And so I just want to get back to, feeling strong again and having the levels of energy that I had before, and being able to be even more active than I was before, even. I have things I want to do, like I want to roller skate, I want to do cartwheels, I want to like, I don't know, I want to be able to travel, I want to like, I don't know, I just want to live, because I feel like I haven't ever yet. And so all the things that I'm working on, now, get me to that place. I did go ahead and register for the Positively Unstoppable Challenge again. Setting myself up again.
Well, good for you.
It's been an emotional journey with this challenge, but I did go ahead and register again, and so we'll see. But yeah, I want to do it different this time, and use it as a way to lean even more into, asking myself those questions. Is it going to make me feel strong? Is it going to make me feel good? Is it going to make me feel proud? And just leaning more into that. And but yeah, I want to be a contender at least. The last 2 years I wasn't at all, and it was really hard for me. The first year I had the best year of my life. I lost more weight than anybody, and I didn't even get a phone call. And then the second year, because I was still, like close to 300 pounds at that point, and then last year just went sideways in every way that it could, and I didn't feel like, I had anything worth submitting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens this year. Yeah, I just want to live. I just want to do all the things that I didn't do because I felt like I couldn't, and so I have roller skates in my Amazon cart. I haven't purchased them yet, but that's one of the things that I wanna do. I want to run a few more 5Ks and add some more medals to
I'd say go
to
ahead
the trophy.
And purchase them and set them up.
Yeah, I've been kind of hesitant because I don't want to hurt myself. But yeah, I have a really nice long hallway, so it'd be a really good place to practice. So yeah, I need to get those and start giving them a try. But
yeah, go ahead and purchase them and set them out. Out where you see them all the time, and that'll keep reminding you to what you're going for.
Yeah.
So that's good. Well, you said you gained 30 pounds back, so that means you're still down 100.
Yeah.
Man, that's greatness. Good job. I mean, keeping it off is the hardest thing to do, is the keeping it off, because I'm back up over 300, so I'm 90 plus up from my lowest, but I mean, it's that crazy is keeping it off.
Yeah. I remember when I first started getting involved in the DDPY community. One of the first people that I talked to was Ryan Nichols, and that was one of the first things that he said. He was like, as hard as you think losing the weight is going to be, keeping it off is going to be harder. So whatever decisions you make, make sure that it's something that you can continue, because getting it off is the easy part. Keeping it off is the hard part. And I took that to heart, and that's been a big factor in the decisions that I make about how I handle my food, especially. I don't eat the way Ryan eats. Ryan eats the way Ryan needs to eat for him to be able to sustain it over his life. That's not going to work for me. So I had to find, what works for me. But his advice is sound. I think whatever way that you choose to eat, it should be sustainable. Because I think what happens so often is when you take the diet mentality, right, and it's just focused on eating a certain way to lose a certain amount of weight, then you think, oh, I can just live my life now, and I can just go back to, whatever I want to do and whatever I want to do. No, you can't. No, you can't. Especially if you're, a person like me who has struggled with food over my entire life. I need to be able to just, this is the way I eat for the rest of my life. And these are how I make decisions about food for the rest of my life. And yeah, so we'll see. I'm hoping that.
Do you?
I'm sorry. What were we gonna say?
Do you do the Shamrock Fitness online?
I do.
Yeah. Do you do the Shamrock Fitness online, or is it? Yeah. Okay. So where does he live? He doesn't live.
He's in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I was wondering. Is he still doing them online with the new program they got now?
He's been doing
DDP Live and all that?
He's been doing some DDPY Live, but he's also gotten certified in a few other different forms of yoga. So the classes that he does through Shamrock Fitness are the other forms of yoga. So there's no touchdown, there's no, ignition, there's no like catcher, all of those things. It's more traditional yoga. And then he does a flexibility yoga where it's you get into positions and you hold it for several minutes. So he does those types through Shamrock Fitness, and he also does his wakey stretchy is just amazing, and that is more traditional yoga, but it's a very a slower, stretchier form of yoga. So I do that. Even though I'm doing the beginner workouts primarily right now, I do the wakey stretchy with him in the morning right now, and then I'll do one of the beginner workouts in the evening, and then also I'm doing like DDPY 3 days a week and running 3 days a week. But I do the wakey stretchy with him, and it's magic. It really is. I wish that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what were we going to say?
Oh, I was just going to ask you about the detail. Do you have to pay for the wakey stretchy and where
yes.
you sign up and that?
So he has a membership, and I think there are several other kind of instructors that have gone that route. When they made the changes, I have strong opinions about this, so I need to be careful about what I say. But when they made the changes about what instructors could teach and how they could teach, and having to do the DDPY Live instead, a lot of instructors kind of, they had built up these communities through COVID and all these people that were working out with them, and already set up these programs, these subscriptions, and people had like their schedules and their routines and everything, and didn't really work with getting them over to DDPY Live, or asking them to pay even more to be able to do the DDPY workouts. So Travis does the DDPY Live workouts a few times a week, but then he also does the different forms of yoga through Shamrock Fitness, and he has a subscription service for that, and I don't even know what his numbers are, but I mean, he's got anywhere from like 6 to 20 people, in a class, and it's great. It's wonderful. The community is amazing. Travis is amazing. Like, he's just one of those guys that will do anything for you. Like, he just had like a marathon workout. Like, he was doing an hour-long workout every 4 hours for 24 hours for this guy who was like struggling, and it was his 1 year sober anniversary, and he lost a friend that he used to party with, and he was just feeling vulnerable, and so Travis was like, I will do this with you, and he did, and he's just incredible. And the transition, this whole thing with the instructors and DDPY Live and all of that has been really, really difficult on the instructors. It's been really, really difficult on the students and the communities that were created through COVID. And I think it's had an effect on the DDPY community in general, especially the core people who were the ones who were involved in all of these, with all these instructors. It's been very demoralizing for the instructors. It's been stressful and challenging for the students, and I don't really see it as a positive thing. I think that there's a way that they could be handled that would be mutually beneficial for DDPY, the company, for the instructors, and for the students, and the way that they're doing it right now is not that. So, and I may have just talked myself out of being in the Positively Unstoppable Challenge, even considered, because I'm bucking the system. But I really do think that they're missing an opportunity, and they're being short-sighted about the way that they're handling it, and they're hurting a lot of people and discouraging a lot of people, and it's really, really unfortunate. So.
Yeah, what Tina's talking about is for those that don't know, if you're not familiar with the instructors in DDP yoga, but um, there's many people out there certified to teach DDP yoga, either level 1 or level 2, and during COVID, a lot of the instructors began to teach classes online because of the COVID, and again, they started, their own practice set up through COVID, and then I know that there was, from talking with Steve Yu, that there was, I know that the reason that they were talking about trying to get it all incorporated back under the umbrella of the app, the DDP Yoga Now app, is because to have some type of quality control measure over the instructors of what they can teach and what they can't teach online, and to keep it in-house. But the way they've tried to handle it is that now to teach DDP yoga, they have to do it through the app, and then each person pays $10 a session for a particular instructor. And so all of those communities that have been set up outside of COVID and outside of the DDP Yoga Now app, what are basically scrambling because they're not supposed to teach DDP yoga outside of either DDP Live or through the DDP yoga community. And so there's definitely some growing pains with this new process and the way things are going, and I know there's strong opinions many different ways, and so but that's what's the behind the scenes, as I understand it, and I may be wrong because I'm not an instructor and I'm not involved with the DDP Yoga Now app, so I just hear this and just my observations, but it appears that they're having a hard time trying to figure out a workable program that will work for the instructors, the students, and the corporation, and so I don't know exactly how it's going to work itself out, but I know it's going through some growing pains right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Did I say that?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's so much more that I could say, but I'm not going to. Like I said, I have very strong opinions about this, but yeah, I mean, I think I hope that, like you said, this is growing pains, and I've said that to everybody that I've talked to about it. Like, anytime you make a change, right, there's going to be some struggle. Change is not, is very seldom easy or fun. But I hope that they will come to a place where they can find a way that provides a service that is worth, the instructors paying DDPY for from their pocket, and that also makes it easier for them to maintain their communities and the businesses that they set up. I mean, contractually, they were supposed to set up their own businesses. When they went out to teach, they were not supposed to. They could say that it was DDPY, but they weren't teaching as an agent of DDPY. They had to have their own company. So that's why, like, Travis was Shamrock Fitness, and Kristen Nava was Hey Y'all Fitness, and so on and so forth. Their contract said that they had to do that. So they went through that process and set up their business, right? And then through COVID, things exploded because people were home and whatever, and it turned into this amazing thing. Having to back out of that and then feeling like they're leaving their people in the lurch. That's why so many other instructors have started learning other forms of yoga, so that they could continue teaching and supporting their students and giving that one-on-one, real-time, in-person, even though it's through Zoom most of the time, help and assistance and support. And not having to just completely abandon. I mean, some instructors have. Some instructors have been like, well, I can't teach DDPY anymore. Sorry, and that's been unfortunate too. So yeah, I having access to people and to the online workouts and to the instructors was a game changer for me. You know, I went from only being able to do 20 minutes of a workout and having to talk myself into that to doing 45-minute, hour-long, 90-minute, 2-hour workouts with my friends. You know, like I wouldn't have made myself do a 2-hour workout by myself watching a video in my house. Like, no. You know, like I no, that would not have happened. And then being able to get the feedback, you know, being able to ask questions, you know, when you called that move, like, is this what you meant, or is that what you meant, or am I doing this right, or I'm struggling, I can't really do that transition, is there something else that I, you know, like in real time being able to get support and feedback. Like, I think that as much as I love the app and I recommend the app to everybody, I feel like, you know, that is preferable. I'm sorry, that is preferable to a video, you know. It helps make sure that people are doing it right, that they're getting modification help that they might need, and that they're being able to make the most of the program. You know, like there's no conversation where you're going to tell me having a personal relationship with the instructor and being able to have access to them face to face is better than watching a video. As great as the videos are, as much as they were, you know, instrumental to me in the beginning of my weight loss journey, like, you cannot tell me that having that personal access to an instructor is not better. Unless the instructor's garbage, and then that's on DDPY to enforce and fix, you know? But
yeah. Well, that's the quality issue that they're kind of concerned with, I think. But let me back up. Let me ask you this: well, first, you know, I'm trying to do the coaching on the side, the transformation coaching.
Yeah.
But one of the persons that I originally started out trying to coach was a person who was doing all these community events. You know, volleyball. I can't even remember all, but everything involved people, and it was a lady, and she said her only interest is in working out with other people and being involved in the community and doing it with your friends, and that she would never do. I kept trying to get her to get to the DDP Yoga app, and she said that she would never do it because she's not going to do it by herself at home.
Yeah.
But for her to do anything, I mean, she was doing all kinds of really active stuff, and so. I think some people, you know, everybody's different, and I think some people out there, they need that community to be able to stay disciplined and to evolve and to flower into the person that they want to become. So I you know, there's definitely a need for it. I'd asked you this though. The question I have is, you had said earlier that you think you'd know a way that would help both sides. That would, you know, I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out is to figure out and not me. I mean, I have no dog in this hunt, but the powers that be out there and the participants are trying to figure out is a program that benefits everyone. I mean, you said I thought you said earlier you had an ideal. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, you did. You're gonna get me kicked out of DDPY.
You don't want to talk about it.
No, I just
no.
I just
Okay.
feel like
if you don't want to talk about it, but
look, I don't know all this. Like, I don't know what the system capabilities of DDPY and the app and the program are. All I know is that the app has been problematic working in the background, working with other programs. So it doesn't support like the programs aren't the workouts that are happening right now aren't actually through the app. They're not. They're through the instructor's personal Zoom. They have to have a personal Zoom, and they have to get a professional version to be able to do a full 1 hour workout, because Zoom will cut you off at 40 minutes, and it limits the number of people that you can have in a Zoom class at the same time. So as far as like financially and service wise, the instructors are still doing everything that they were still doing on their own before. They're just having to pay money to DDPY to be able to teach DDPY, essentially. There's no additional services that are being provided to the instructors. They're not actually on the app. And there's no additional benefit to the students who already are working out with the instructors doing other forms of yoga, which I think is the biggest issue, is that this has caused instructors who were qualified and trained to teach DDPY and doing it consistently and getting DDPY, getting the app and getting students for DDPY on a consistent basis, to switch over to something else. And now they're not saying, turn on your app, let's do the calorie count, make sure you save that workout. Nope, none of that's happening now. So I think that if they could provide an infrastructure that would allow for, this would require the app to be updated, obviously, but an infrastructure for the instructors to be able to actually be on the app, to really, really be on the app. And just increase the app price for everyone by like $1 or $2. They would make so much more money than they are making by taking 40% from the few instructors that are actually teaching consistently on the app. Because from what I'm understanding, the majority, I'm going to so get kicked out of DDPY, the majority of the instructors that are teaching the live workouts right now are only getting a couple of students showing up. Okay? Not very many people are doing this. So they're not making a whole heck of a lot of money. But if they would increase the price of the app, which of course I don't want to pay more, but if they're going to provide more services, right? They have to make it mutually beneficial for, not just for DDPY. And right now this system is only beneficial for DDPY. It is not beneficial for the instructors. They're losing money. It is not beneficial for the students who are having to pay extra to do a DDPY workout with an instructor that they like. On top, they're having to basically pay what they're paying for the app per month for one workout. Tell me how is that? How are you incentivizing? How are you incentivizing this for anybody besides DDPY? It's not. It's not. And the whole like thing that they were having with like the L1s couldn't teach on the app. It was just the L2s. Like, it was decentivizing certification. Like, it was just very badly done. I'm sorry, but it was just very badly done, and it benefited only DDPY. It didn't benefit anybody else. And I think that
I go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, like, they did not, whatever they're going to do, it has to be a win-win-win for DDPY, for the instructors, and for the students, or it's going to fail. And this is failing. And it's dividing the community. Like, there's so many people that are upset or hurt or put out by this. So many instructors that are getting certified in other things where they would have never thought about teaching anything besides DDPY before. It's just not good. There's nothing good coming out of this as far as I can see. And it's really unfortunate.
Well, dialogue is what we need. We need people to talk it out, to try to figure out something that works for everybody. And the only way it's going to get there is if everybody's at the table talking. So I don't know. I'm not involved in that, and I don't want to be involved in that. But I know, understand the arguments, and I understand the comments, and I understand the issues, and I don't know the answer. I think now if to do something like you were talking about, then the app would almost have to become a Zoom. I mean, the app would have to have their own conferencing capability within the app so that the instructors wouldn't have to pay. I think I pay for Zoom Pro, so I think it's like $15 a month for these podcasts and stuff. So I could go over, but the if it was only within the app, then the app would have to have the conferencing ability and the the video conferencing ability basically. Now I don't know what that would take, but but it's a shame that if only a couple of people are showing up to these instructors' workouts, then it is gonna. I mean, something's gonna happen that's gonna, change the market. I mean, something's gonna change, and if this idea didn't work, they're gonna have to switch it to a process and a system that does work. And so
if they still have
what it would be.
Yeah, and that's if when they get to that point, they still have instructors who want to teach DDPY. Like there are like I said, there are so many that have said, I just want to teach and I want to be able to serve the people that I have built relationships with. And if I have to get certified in something else to be able to do that, well, then that's what I'm going to do. And because of the way that this has been handled, so many of them have just felt very hurt by it. Like they have spent all of COVID, right, promoting DDPY, getting new students for DDPY, getting people to buy the app, right, teaching classes every single day, building a community, helping to build the online Facebook group. Like it has grown and exploded over the last 2 years, and that is at least 75% the direct result of all of the little pocket communities that were formed. The new people that have come in have been through that, all the online workouts and the communities that form from that. And I can only imagine like how that must feel like when you have devoted so much free marketing, okay, let's just be honest, free marketing to a company, and then to feel like you're getting the rug pulled out from under you. It's just really unfortunate, and it's had a ripple effect through the instructor community and through the students as well, and it's just sad.
I mean, well, I can tell you, I was trying to get certified, and I took my test in December with Hayden and flunked, and I'm supposed to take it again this month, but I made the decision not to pursue it and to pursue this podcast and other things. I decided to spend my time doing other things than getting certified because I didn't know if I wanted to teach in that DDP Live, and I didn't know if being a level 1 instructor, I didn't know all the mechanics, but teaching I don't think is going to be where I can serve the most people in DDP yoga. I think this podcast is a better way for me to serve the community, and but I soured on the getting certified through all of this process while they were making the changes, and I can't put it on one thing, but I just know that it's not as big a priority as it was at the end of the year today that I get certified, and I can tell you that. But I also know that Steve Young and Dallas and everybody involved only have the best intentions for everybody, and these guys do so much, put so much out there that there's it's you've always got. What they've done for people in the community is just unreal, and what they give to the people in the community is unreal. And,
I agree.
This is just another change it's going to have to work through. It's just something else that's going to have to be worked out.
Yeah.
We're too great a community to let something like this divide us.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so upsetting to people, is because it's so like out of character. Like, it just doesn't seem like it jives with the heart of DDPY, and just how generous Dallas, tends to be with his time and his knowledge and his, like it just seems really out of character for how they've done things up to this point. And so I think that's part of the reason why so many people are just kind of taken aback and so upset about it, is because it does kind of fly in the face of what we've become accustomed to as sort of the heart and the culture behind DDPY.
Tell the people again. I'm going to change the subject a little bit, so maybe I'm going to change gears. So tell the people about, and treat, and I always encourage people to treat it like you're talking to someone that doesn't know anything about DDPY, but tell the people about the community, the Facebook community, and the community and support and everything that you get through the community.
Yeah. When I first found the Facebook page, I was really hesitant to post because I was close to 400 pounds, and typically in the whole fitness world, it is a very uncomfortable place for larger people to exist and to find any sort of encouragement or validation at all. And but I started to see other people's posts, and everybody seemed so encouraging that I went ahead and decided that I was going to start posting on a regular basis. And I remember one of the first posts that I made was kind of just like a, hey, this is me sort of thing, and the response that I got was just, there was not a single rude or disrespectful or negative comment at all. Like, and there were like hundreds of people that left comments, and it was just unbelievable. I was just blown away. I'm like reading the comments and I'm like sobbing, and it has just been, and I know that every group has people, especially the bigger the group gets, the bigger the chance that there's going to be somebody there that doesn't necessarily belong, that doesn't fit the culture of the group, that kind of tries to ruin it for everybody. But by and large, like, it has been one of the most encouraging, supportive places. I post a lot of very vulnerable stuff, and I can count on one hand with the fingers left over the number of times that I've gotten anything even close to a negative comment. So it's, and that just doesn't happen anywhere else on the internet, like, it just really doesn't. So yeah, even though, like I said, that there has been an impact and a change in the community over the last several months, and we've had the influx of new people. I think COVID we saw a big jump, and then of course every time there's a new round of Positively Unstoppable winners, that brings in a new influx of people who are curious about the program. So there's been some stuff, that's kind of filtered in that's not typical, but by and large, it is just one of the easiest places on the internet to exist and to share and to encourage and be encouraged. And I'm just so grateful for it. It's just every time I post something that resonates with people, I'm just blown away, and encouraged even more to share my story and to hop in the comment section every once in a while and encourage other people too. I just think it's really I wouldn't necessarily call it like a source of accountability, but I think it is definitely a source of encouragement and a source of kind of the feeling that I had when I saw your video. If he can do it, maybe I can do it. I think the page definitely provides that wherever you are, whether you're starting at almost 400 pounds or more, or whether, you're just trying to lose 50, or you're trying to use this as a way of recovery from some other sort of, addiction or what have you, or, rehabbing from an injury, or wherever you are, there's going to be somebody in the group that has gone through that and been there and is sharing their story, that you can, see them and be like, okay, maybe it is possible for me. So yeah, I just think it's a really special place, and I'm really, really, really grateful for it.
Now tell the people how to join DDP Yoga Facebook group.
So I think it's DDP Yoga, one word, and it's, I think that's the only, there is the DDP Yoga page for the company, but this would be a group, so you would have to make sure that you're searching in groups. And there's like 70,000 members, and if you just click that you want to join, I think that there's kind of like a very short vetting process, where they just check to make sure that your profile is real, and then they'll allow you in, and you can see all of the stories and the pictures and the testimonies and the amazing things that so many people are doing, the impossible things that thousands of people are achieving. So yeah, it's super easy. Just DDP Yoga Facebook group. Click join. Not sponsored.
All right. What tell us. Hey, do you mind if we take a break a minute?
Sure.
I gotta go to the restroom. We've been at it 2 hours.
Yep.
Can I run to the restroom?
Go for it.
All right, you still there?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to remember to cut that out. I think Brian Tans, I left the restroom break in the video, I think.
That's fine. They can just fast forward through that.
Somebody's I did, yeah, somebody. That's right. All right, so I was trying to think. I couldn't think clearly for a question, so I think I'm running out of questions.
Okay.
Tell me about the struggle over this last year. I mean, what and how you facing it different from here on out. I mean, the consistency and the struggle, like we talked about, is the hardest thing. So tell me what's different now that's going to get you back on track.
Yeah. Well, this year, like I said, it has just been one obstacle and disappointment and frustration after another. It started with me having COVID, and then it just kind of snowballed from there, all the way to including a hurricane and being displaced and coming home and having to find a place in post-hurricane New Orleans and move and pack and move, all in about 1 month's time. When obviously, I mean, I don't know if y'all get hurricanes where you are, but, the area was severely damaged, and there were a lot of people needing temporary housing at the time while their homes got repaired, and they could get, the insurance was paying for it, so all of the rental places upped their prices to like hotel rates because they could get that from the insurance companies. So finding a place, it was very, very stressful. And I had some family stuff going on at the same time that was extremely upsetting. And And but I was like soldiering through, and like I was doing good, and I had to live in Houston for a couple of weeks and stayed with a friend who has never eaten a vegetable. So so it was just all like home cooking, and but I managed it. I was still active as I could be, and I focused on portion sizes, and I actually managed to lose weight while I was there, which was amazing. But then I came home, and the whole move thing was so stressful. It was so stressful. I mean, it was down to like the week before we had to be out of the house that I was in, and I still didn't have a place to live, and at the same time, for the first time in my life, a friend was trying to set me up with a man, and it didn't happen, and that was really upsetting. I think, honestly, I just realized the other day that was my breaking point. Like, I had been fighting all week, all year. Every month there was something that made me feel vulnerable, that made me feel discouraged, that made me feel disappointed. It was whether it was health or family or work or emotional stuff or relationship stuff or whatever it was. There was something every single month, at least one thing that I had to fight through to stay consistent, and I did. And I was really, really strong. And I had like this few months where I felt the most comfortable in my own skin that I had ever felt in my entire life. And it didn't matter what the scale said. And like, I was just the best version of myself, and I felt amazing. And then the hurricane happened, and everything kind of went to pot after that. But I think the big breaking point for me was that potential setup that the guy wound up just kind of ghosting me. And up to that point, I was like, I felt good, and I felt like I was on the verge of anything being possible for me. I felt really confident. I felt like I really was changing, and my life was changing, and anything was possible for me at this point. And then that happened, and it was like, oh, no, this is the same. Like, nothing has changed. Like, that was what that said to me, was that it didn't matter. None of the work that I had done mattered. And it was really, really hard. It was really like crushing, and I hate that it was, and I hate that it broke me. After fighting for like 10 months out of the year, to overcome one thing after another, and keep going and stay consistent, even though like all this craziness was happening, and the weight was just trickling off, and that one thing, that one rejection just broke me, and made me feel like none of the work that I did mattered. And so that, between that and the move and not having a consistent schedule anymore and all of that, it was just my eating. I won't say that like it was out of control. It wasn't, but it wasn't what it needed to be. And we gain weight a whole lot easier than we lose it, So that's when the weight started coming back, and that was really discouraging. And then when I was finally able to, even though, like I said, I never like fully stopped anything, but I wasn't able to work out as consistently or as long as I had been before. And just over those couple of months, when I finally was able to, like, my schedule had cleared, I was able to make it to all the workouts that I would normally go to, I couldn't do 20 minutes. I couldn't do a push-up anymore. And it was so discouraging that I would cry through every workout. And I got to the end of every workout, and I felt like a failure every time. Felt like I hadn't worked out. I felt all the pain that I felt when I first started, the pain in my wrist, the pain in my knees. It was back, and I was so discouraged, and I fought through that for like 2 months, 3 months maybe, trying to just push through it and tell myself every time I show up, I'm winning, I'm not failing. Like, if I have to get in safety zone, it's okay. If I can only do 20 minutes, it's okay. But I still just cried through every workout, and I still just felt like a failure every time. So that's when I kind of made the decision to go back to the beginner workouts. I needed to be able to finish a workout. I needed to be able to do a move and hold it for the full count, and I needed to be able to finish. And I wasn't going to be able to do that with the workouts that I was doing with my friends. And so I started doing that, and I started really having kind of those mental breakthroughs of realizing that I really had gotten lost in fighting against. I was in that survival mode for so long, that I just, my head was not in the right place, and I needed to go back to where I started. Of just, not just with the beginner workouts. I didn't start with the beginner workouts, but you know what I mean? Like, not just going back to the beginning as far as the workouts go, but going back to the heart of this. Like, the whole purpose of me starting this was because I realized that if I didn't do something, I was never going to have a chance at having a life at all. And I was just constantly going to be in that place of feeling defeated and feeling sad and consoling myself with food, for the rest of my life. And I didn't want that. And being in pain on top of it. And here I was again in pain, consoling myself with food more and more, and feeling discouraged all the time, and not living, just surviving. And so I tried to just get back to kind of that place of where I started, and remembering that this whole thing was about me living, and so just trying to lean back into that, and making those choices based on, like, is this living? Is this making me feel good? Is it making me feel strong? Is it making me feel proud? And really focusing on that again. And as hard as it was for me to, like, take that ego punch and go back to the beginner workouts, I'm telling you, when I did that first Energy 2.0, which I know, like, people make fun of people who, like, are still doing energy after, like, a year in the program or whatever, but I'm going on 2.5 years here. But I'm telling you, when I did that energy, and I could hold the moves for the full count, and I could finish the workout, it felt amazing. It felt amazing. And for the first time in months, I felt like, okay, like, I really can get stronger. Like, I don't have to stay stuck here. I don't have to keep fighting. I think that was kind of the point that I got to, was like, I kept fighting to try to be where I was. And for me, checking my ego at the door was acknowledging where I actually was. Not trying to force myself to be where I used to be. To actually acknowledging where I am and being where I am. And doing what I needed to do now, and going back to the beginner workouts, and trying to go back to that heart and mindset that I had when I first started, was the key for me. And I know not all of my friends agreed with my decision to go back to the beginner workouts, and I'm sure several people I posted about it. I'm sure several people, like, saw that post and was like, oh, she's doing energy, like, she's been doing this for 2 years and she's doing, they can think what they want to think. That was what I needed to do for me, and it's working, so and I know that I won't be here forever, I'm doing this so that I can get back to where I was and go further. But me trying to fight against where I used to be and against what my body is capable of doing right now wasn't good for me. It made me feel sad. It made me feel like a failure. And I wound up feeling like I didn't even feel like I actually worked out, because so much I had to keep stopping. I had to keep going into safety zone, and it just, or child's pose, and when I was working out Travis, but I couldn't stay there, the way forward was to go back, for me, and I'm so glad that I was humble enough, to be able to do that, and took the ego punch and did it. And like I said, I know I'm not going to be here for long. I am getting stronger, and I will just continue to get stronger if I stay consistent. And so that's where I am. And I think that just being willing to be where you are, to not try to force yourself to be at a level that you're not, even if it is a step back for you, be where you are, and be consistent in that, and you're not going to stay there.
Well said. It feels like to me that you put your heart and soul and really make yourself vulnerable in everything that you do, and even with the romantic gesture, and so everything hurts when you put yourself out there so much. It hurts that much worse, But have you ever read the book Daring Greatly by Brene Brown?
I have not, no.
Do you do audiobooks, or are you a book reader or anything?
I do both. It just depends on what's available.
You may check it. Have you ever read any of Brene Brown's stuff? Do you know who she is?
A little bit. I do know who she is. I was in counseling several years ago, and my counselor recommended a book of hers to me, and I started reading it, but I don't think I finished it. I don't remember which one it was, but yeah, I do know who she is. She's
The Gifts of
very popular.
Imperfections.
What was that?
Did they recommend the Gifts of Imperfections, or which one did they recommend?
I don't remember. I don't even have it anymore. Yeah, I don't remember the title of it.
Well, check out Daring Greatly.
Okay.
I mean, that one really made an impression on me. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but I love Brene Brown and her making yourself vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
and putting yourself out there and getting in the arena and fighting and trying hard.
Yeah.
It's if you don't take a chance and fail, you're not living life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just part of it. To be all in, you've got to be willing to fail and feel the hurt and live through it and get back after it, and try again. Put it all in there again, and
Right.
and keep doing it until you find what works for you, So, but I think that's why so many people gravitate to you on social media, is because of your vulnerability and what a lot of most ladies are not willing to put that much vulnerability out there publicly to the world like you do, and I think that's why a lot of people kind of see you as their hero,
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been just very open and honest. I think part of it is because I have to process things externally, so whether it's talking to a friend or sharing a post in the group or what have you, it helps me to kind of work through it, to be able to share it. And also part of it is because I just really believe the stuff that I'm going through isn't just for me, there's somebody else that is going to be encouraged by it or helped by it. And so that's kind of my heart always, and when I share, and so I'm always just so grateful when it's not hard for me. I know I've talked with several other ladies, and they're just like, I don't know that I can't share a picture like that, or I can't say talk about this topic or whatever, and it's never hard for me to share those. I mean, there are a couple of things, posting my actual weight for the first time, that was really hard for me. Posting a picture of me in just a sports bra, that was really hard for me. My mom hadn't even seen me without a shirt on in years and years and years, so things like that. But the emotional stuff of it, that's never been That's never really been a challenge for me. I probably say too much as opposed to not enough.
Well, I can tell you, some words. What is it? Is it Kristen Nava that says there's no shame in my game or something like that?
No shame in her modification game, where she talks about how she uses her modifications. Yeah. But I mean, you can apply it to
no shame in her modification game.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I mean, we're all struggling through this life as best we can. Shit isn't that there. We just do whatever we need to do to get through life, and I can tell you, I've been given a second life by losing this weight and getting my flexibility back and getting my strength back, and I know that you feel the same way. And we're going to go up and down. Our weights are going to be moving around, but we're never going to go back to where we were.
Yeah. We've both come so far, and I mean, when you think about just like the quality of life of one day, how different it is, even though neither of us are at the weight that we want to be right now. Like, just the difference in the quality of life is just, I mean, I can't even.
Night and day.
Yeah. I think that's why it was so hard when I was finally able to like hit the mat consistently again after, I got moved and got settled and things calmed down or whatever. And I had pain in my wrist again. That was scary. That was like, cause at once it felt like so familiar, but it had become so unfamiliar because I had been without pain for so long. Like, I remember when I first realized that I didn't have pain in my wrist anymore, when I didn't have to go on my knuckles anymore, when I could go flat palms and it didn't hurt. Like I remember that moment, and it was like a big deal, And so to go back and have that again, like that was really scary. That was like, take me back, to when I was struggling so much, and I didn't like how that felt at all, like on any level. Pushing through that was hard, and I think that's another reason why it was so important for me to go back to doing workouts that I could do and that I could finish, because having to combat that, and all the feelings that brought up, on top of just navigating a regular workout, just showing up, putting the mat out, like doing, committing to do the time, whatever. It was just one step more, that like one degree of difficulty that I didn't need to do on purpose to myself, so yeah, but even with that, just in general, like the quality of life, the things that I'm able to do without thinking about it, without having to make accommodations, without having to map out every detail, without having to talk myself out of it. It's just unbelievable. I'm really grateful.
Now, I asked everybody this question, so but I'm really curious about your answer. Is how, because social media was such a big part of my journey, how has social media affected you in your journey?
I mean, I think honestly, I'm not really one, like, I don't, I post stuff. Like I said, my heart is usually just to encourage other people. So, I don't often always read the comments that other people leave. And so sometimes I don't even go back and check. Like, I'll post something and hope that it benefits somebody else, and I might scan through, the comments and see if there's anybody that, might need a little bit of encouragement in the comments or whatever. But the ones that are always like, you're so amazing and you're this and you're that, like, I just go right past those. I don't post for people to say nice things to me. That's not or for other people's approval or anything. That's not ever my intention. So from that regard, like it hasn't been, I guess it has been just a little bit of accountability, just in that, like, I'm posting this, I did it, but I'm also trying to take the opportunity to encourage somebody else. But I think the biggest role that social media has played in this has been just the people that I've met and the friends. Like there are people that I talk to just about every day that I would have no way of knowing outside of social media. Like Travis and like Caitlin. Like I talk to them every single day, just about. And the Warrior Women, the group that I founded with Caitlin and Stephanie Kelly and Samantha Sheets and Melissa, the group that I founded with them, I would have never met any of them otherwise outside of social media. So it's just been, that's been the biggest impact, and also, getting to meet the instructors through COVID and all the workouts that they were doing, like that helped me to push myself further than I would have pushed myself on my own, and helped me to develop even more friendships and community, and accountability. And it's just been, I think that the friendships and the community has been the biggest factor from social media.
Do you, if someone, say a lady wanted to be part of the Warrior Women, how would they join that?
So it's also just like DDP Yoga. It's a group. So if you just go to Facebook and search for Warrior Women, it should be like one of the first groups to come up. If you're in the DDP Yoga group already, you can also search for Warrior Women in there. We've posted invites to the group a few times in there. So at least that way you'll know for sure you're getting the exact right Warrior Women group. Because there might be, I guess there might be a few others, but yeah, it's super easy. Just search for it on Facebook. Or you can go to like my profile or Caitlin's.
If somebody wants to follow you on social media, where would they follow you at?
So I have an Instagram dedicated to my weight loss journey, and that's Impossible to Unstoppable. And then I'm also on TikTok at Tina 2.0. And it's point spelled out, not a point.
And how do you like TikTok?
I love TikTok. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Yeah, I have found. It's kind of been, like a similar thing with the DDP Yoga group. Like there's been so many things that I've shared that people have just, messaged me and just said how much that they were encouraged by it. And again, like when I'm scrolling through the comments, there's so many people who are so nice, and they're just like, oh, you're so great, or you're so pretty, or you're so incredible, I can't believe you did that, and that's amazing, and blah 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 blah, which is all really, really nice. But the comments that I really respond to or care about are the ones where people are just like, I skipped my workout this morning, but I saw your post and I'm going to go do mine now. Or I've been, struggling and telling myself that there was nothing that I could do and this was just going to be my life for the rest of my life. But I saw what you did and I'm gonna try again. Those are the comments that just they mean everything to me. Because like I said, I just feel like, everything, the stuff the good stuff that happens, or even the bad stuff too, like this, everything that happens, in my life it's not just about me. It's not just for me. And so everything that I share is kind of with the intention of helping or encouraging somebody else. And so when I get comments like that, that tell me that I've done that, then it just means everything to me.
Well, have you gone back and told that doctor you lost 135 pounds?
I did. I didn't go see her, but I did write her a letter. And, she sent me back a very, I'm sure, legal department approved, short and sweet message, basically saying that she was glad that I found something that worked for me. She didn't make any apologies. She didn't make any admissions. And that was the end of that.
Well, what do you want people to remember Tina Gaspard by, from this interview?
Oh gosh. I think the biggest thing that, I guess my story, I guess what I would want people to take away, is that nobody else gets to tell you what's possible for you, and that setbacks and disappointments and failures even are inevitable, but you can just keep going. You can choose to keep going. Before any one of the things that happened last year, just one I would have been done. It would have been over for me. I would have been back to eating the way that I was eating before. I would have stopped working out. I would have checked out of the community. Like any one of the things, just having COVID in January, that would have done it. It wouldn't have had to wait until October to get ghosted by a guy. Like it would have just been over in January 2021. But through the year that I had previously, and how much I had to overcome just to be able to do 20 minutes of a workout, that was the biggest lesson that I learned, was that I didn't have to hit resistance and crumble. I didn't have to, I didn't have to have an emotional reaction to something and completely just throw everything out the window, and just focus only on like comforting myself or numbing myself, whatever the case may be. That I could go over the bump, pick myself up, and keep going. And that builds so much confidence, in me. And that's if I've learned nothing else on this journey, just learning that I could keep going. Like I really can just keep going. Like I could binge eat today and keep going, that's been worth, if that's the one thing that I learned from this, like it's worth it, because I didn't know that I could do that before. That wasn't even a thought in my brain that I could, go through Burger King and Popeyes, the same meal, take it home, eat it, be in pain, and wake up the next day and just keep going. Like that was never a thought in my brain. But now it is, And I haven't done that though. Just to be clear, thankfully, my days of double drive-throughs are over. Thank God, But but even if I did, even if I ordered, and ate a whole pizza from Papa John's tonight, like, I can just keep going. Like, I didn't. It's not unrecoverable, It was just a meal, and I can keep going, or it was just a guy, and I can keep going, So, yeah, I think that's what I would want people to take away from my story is nobody gets to say what's possible for you, and you really can just keep going.
What does your shirt say?
Impossible to unstoppable. That's me.
That's you.
That's me.
I like, that's probably what I'm going to call it is, Tina, you don't know me, Gaspard. That's what I'm going to call the podcast, if that's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Let me look. I think I'm about out of questions.
Okay.
How has the pain, you talked about, everything hurting, how has the weight loss and, the DDP yoga program and the running and everything you've done, how has it helped your health and the pain issues you were having before you started this journey?
Yeah. Well, like I said, when I first started, I was in pain all day, every day. And especially, when I first started going down to the mat, even after I had lost, like 45, 50 pounds, I just had no strength in anything. I had been basically sedentary for a decade, and so yeah, I had the inflammation that I was dealing with as well. I don't remember the specific numbers, but just as an example, like if when I had my blood work done before I started DDPY, if like a normal baseline level for like inflammatory markers was like 15, I was at like 300. Like it was that crazy high. Like it was ridiculous. So I just had pain all the time. And, but like I couldn't just put my palms down to even on the chair. Like I was doing plank on a chair. There was no push-ups. It was just plank. But I was on a chair, and even that hurt. And then when I got down to the ground, I had to use a chair to help me get up and down, and my knees would scream at me. If I laying in pinfall, my back would lock up. It was that severe, and so it took a few months though, for me for the dietary changes that I was making, and then the being active consistently, but then all of a sudden I realized, like, and building up strength, through the workouts and stuff, that I realized, like, my knee wasn't hurting me anymore, my wrists weren't hurting me, my back wasn't locking up in pinfall anymore, I wasn't having hip pain at night when I'd lay on my side, and all those things. Like it was a progression, and it took months and a considerable amount of weight for those things to go away. But I definitely believe that the combination of losing the weight and doing the workouts, right, and building the strength, I don't know that my pain would have decreased as much or as fast if I had just lost weight, with just like eating a specific way to lose weight. I think the combination of losing weight and then the strength that I built up through the workouts was kind of the magic formula. Because like I said, I felt the difference in my legs in 2 weeks. that was insane. Like, my legs were so painful all the time. And I felt the difference in 2 weeks. And I want to say it took probably about a year for the discoloration to go away. But it did. And that was something that I didn't know if that was going to happen. You know, I didn't know if I was, even if I did lose weight, I didn't know if the discoloration was going to go away. But thankfully it did. Yeah, it's just been, you know, having the pain back has been hard mentally and emotionally. But I'm going to stay consistent, and I know that every time I show up, every time I hit the mat, every time, you know, that I am active, every food choice that I make, like, everything is working towards getting stronger, and that the pain will go away again, because it did before.
Absolutely. But what advice would you have to someone who's just starting their transformation journey?
That's a good question. There's so many things that I could say. I would say what I've said from, you know, for a very long time, for almost since the beginning. Just get that mindset of doing it anyway. Like, you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to feel like doing it. It's going to be hard. You might have pain. You might have to modify. You might feel frustrated. You might not be able to finish, right? But just do it anyway, because when you get to that place, when you finish the workout, right, when you've done it, you're not going to regret that you did it, and you're gonna that's the only way you're going to get stronger. So just get in the habit, that commitment. You know, motivation is going to be fleeting. You know, you're not always gonna have the perfect schedule. Life is sometimes gonna get in the way, right? But if you just make a commitment to do it anyway, and to do it consistently, to push past that resistance, you know, to do it, you're never gonna ever regret it, and you're gonna get stronger, and you're gonna be really, really glad that you did.
All right, good answer. You anything else you want to say or you want to talk about? Because I think I'm out of questions.
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing it. Anything
No,
else you want to touch on
I guess
before
I just want to
turn off the.
I guess I just want to ask DDPY not to kick me out for my strong opinions, and I guess I just also just want to thank everybody who might be listening to this, or everybody who, you know, has ever taken the time out to encourage me. I know that I can't respond to every single comment every single time, but I just want to thank everybody, you know, for the support that I've found in the DDPY community. It has definitely had a huge impact on me being able to stay in it, even through all the hardships and the struggles, and I'm just super, super grateful. So I just wanted to say thank you. And also, thank you to you for sharing your story. It helped me to change my life.
Thank you, Tina.
I'm just really grateful for that too.
Oh, well, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. You know, I think we both do this from a giving heart, you know, trying to share it, pay it forward, and I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really think, you know, I want to help everybody else get the life that I've got. You know, I mean, it changed me, and if, you know, shit, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I was just an old drunk there for a long time, 450-pound drunk, you know.
Yeah.
So if I can do it, anybody can do it, and so thank you for saying such nice things, and I don't want you to have any regrets about what you said on this podcast. I'm going to let you sleep on it. This won't come out until March the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And so between now and March 14th, if there's anything that causes you heartache, or anything at all, don't that you have concern with me publishing, just let me know. We'll cut it out. I do this for fun, and I do this to help other people, and so I don't want this. This is not a gotcha, or I promise you, nothing's going to be published unless if you don't want it to. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm mostly being silly. Yeah, no, I'm mostly being silly. Honestly, if Dallas called me today, I would say all the same stuff that I said to you. Like I'm just very honest, and so yeah, I'm just being silly. But I mean, they might kick me out, but I'm still like, I'm not going to change my opinion, because of that. So it's fine.
Yeah, they're not going to kick you out. I mean, shit. It's a growing pain. So this deal, I know it's going to be tough for a while for everybody.
Yeah.
But it'll work itself out.
I hope so.
They're all smart people, and they all come from a good place and a good intent, and so it's a good community. It's gonna work through this. So.
Yeah.
All right, Tina. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to spending your Saturday afternoon with me. Let me pick your brain and being so open and honest. And I really hope you keep doing what you're doing, because you are absolutely inspiring so many other people. And so just keep doing what you're doing and keep being Tina Gaspard, and you're gonna keep inspiring others to follow in your footsteps. So just keep doing what you're doing is all I can say.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right, Tina. All right. So the way it works, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna hit stop recording, but don't hang up.
Okay.
I gotta tell you what to do. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm stopping the recording. Thank you for listening to the podcast today. I'm your host, Vance Hines of Transform with Vance, where transformations begin every day. Please take a moment, if you will, if you like the podcast, to subscribe and follow, and you can find us on social media as well, either under Vance Hines or Transform with Vance. Please tune in and subscribe to our feed. You'll be able to hear lots of transformation stories. I'm in search of interviewing as many transformations as I can find. So if you have a transformation that you would like to have someone interview and have and appear on the podcast, just send me the name and number, message me, and I'll reach out to them and try to get them here. But no matter what, a better life begins on the mat. Get on the mat and start your transformation today. Thank you.